So we are back for those of you who joined us for the last live stream that didn't go far because my phone doesn't like the cold. I think my phone is from the equator, somewhere close to the equator. I'm not sure. So now the kids are out. We've got kids playing down here in the driveway. They're trying to sled down. People are walking around. I think they've let everything go. You know, everybody's just going home for the day because it is the snowpocalypse of 2020. And we're not even really to the good part yet, I don't think. It depends on, I haven't looked at the radar recently, but there's supposed to be, again, 8 to 12 inches of snow. The kids are all out playing. The dogs are playing. It's just a playtime. By the way, if you're going to build a snowman and you're local, the snowmen, the snow people, if you will, they must be constructed 6 feet apart and have a mask. So let's mask up your snow people. And of course, there are different sizes of masks for the different sizes of carrots or coal, whatever you tend to be using for their noses. Just make sure that their nose and mouth are covered if you're going to have a nose and mouth on your snow people. Just something to keep in mind. By the way, I want to welcome you to this edition. Be sure you hit the like button while you're here and comment. Billy says, whoop, whoop, just got off work and heading home. We are all waiting with bated breath. You're waiting for bated breath for this live stream. I know that. Okay, now you're probably waiting on the weather. I'm still waiting. It looks like, if you looked at it right now, there was a time this morning where I honestly thought it was going to be a flop, where we weren't going to get anything because it was like 32, 33 degrees. And it looked like we just weren't going to get anything going on. But that quickly changed. The temperature dropped just a little bit, and all of a sudden it started with sleet. It started with some ice. And then before you know it, we had Snowmageddon. Alexander says, I am subscribed. Welcome, Alexander, and thank you for subscribing. Tristan says, where are you? Because Texas is warm. Hey, man, go to our Facebook page and send us a pic. Our Facebook page is Bill Marion Life. That's at Bill Marion Life on Facebook. And if you've got some interesting pictures for this time of year, you know, in Texas, it'd be great. Send them over. We'll post them on our Facebook page. And we are definitely in Virginia. Make sure to chat it up, guys. I'm going to try it. I know it's going to be a little bit of shaky cam, but if you'll notice here behind us, Massanutten is normally, that's a mountain. It is normally directly behind me there. And you can see usually a beautiful view. Those of you who've been a subscriber a long time, you'll know that I've shown that mountain several times. I'm trying to get the light better here. I've shown that mountain several times. And most of the time, you know, you can see the mountain clear as a bell. It's beautiful. We've got a great view here. But today, no such luck. Today, no such luck because Snowmageddon has taken over 2020. Now, again, 8 to 12 inches is for me, living in the South for most of my life. I lived in Michigan a few years, still have a lot of family in Michigan outside Detroit in the Taylor area. And, you know, I've seen some big snows. I lived in Kentucky for a long time as well. Saw some big snows in southeastern Kentucky with a lot of our friends and just had a great, enjoyed winter weather. But then when living in Chattanooga for like 20 years, you know, you get out of the habit of seeing snows. We did see snow. I think in 2010 we had a snow. In 2011, these were little snows, though, compared to what we have had already in Virginia. In Virginia, we had, like, the first year we lived here in 2018, we had several snows. 2019 was a mild winter, but 2020, I thought it was going to be mild. But hey, I don't know. Look at this right here at the end of 2020. We're getting some snow. This is good. It's good stuff. Alexander says, I love your videos. And my videos love you too. And I'm always thankful when people say that they love watching our videos. One thing you got to say about our channel, we're sincere, we're authentic, and we're crazy. What I don't ever want to be is just boring. So I'm thankful, Alexander, that you watch our videos. Keep watching our videos. And send me a check for $10,000. Seriously, one of the reasons why we're always pushing the comments, subscribe, and all this stuff is because it may be that we need to start a partnership program. Just throwing this out here. The reason why is because of equipment. It's not so much of trying to turn a profit right now as much as it is needing the equipment to do what we want to do. Like right now, I would rather be on a remote camera, lapel microphone, as opposed to having to bring my laptop out here. I have no idea who that is on my phone. You might want to check that, Carolyn. Make sure it's not crazy. Tristan says Texas is warm. We're in Virginia, Tristan. And let's see, what's the next one? Billy says Texas is represented. God bless Texas. Billy is a huge Texas fan. I can't tell you how many times I've heard Billy talk about how God is coming back to Texas first. When he comes back, he's coming to Texas to assemble his army. Texas is an amazing state, man. I mean, I always refer to it as the nation of Texas, the great nation of Texas. Texas is pretty awesome. Now, and you do listen in the Panhandle of Texas. The Panhandle of Texas, I have seen some pretty cold weather in the Panhandle. I've seen it very cold, and I'm trying to think of where that was. I was a kid, but it was freezing cold. Seen a lot of snow there, and if you stay on 40 through the Panhandle into New Mexico, see some very cold weather through there all the way into May. Tristan said, "Yeah, I love it. I love it too. I'm trying to get a better shot of the snow right now because we're not getting too good of a snow shot." Checking it out. You can see a little bit of it in the background. It's not coming out as much as it was just a few moments ago. But then again, if you think about it, I'm on my laptop camera, and that does make it a little different. I apologize for moving around so much. If you saw how I'm trying to set this up right now, you would understand why I keep shaking around, because I'm trying to get the best shot. You hear the trucks in the background. Believe it or not, even though I live practically in the city. Well, no, not practically. I live in the city of Harrisonburg. You don't hear that sound that often. Those are snow trucks, plow trucks. And what's funny is that a couple years ago, there was a snowstorm that we had that brought about 6 or 7 inches. And from what I understand, what I heard, the mum around town, the gossip mill around town said that basically the weather people had falsely predicted several snows before that snow. And so the plow team wasn't ready when that snow hit. And 81 was a mess. Interstate 81 was a mess. And we went a few days without the roads around here being plowed because they were all dispatched to 81. Now, that was the rumor mill. I don't know how much of that is true. But this year, this snow event, man, the whole town, that's all you're hearing right now. The snow trucks are just nonstop. So 81 seems to be in great shape from what I'm hearing. But you still, if you're local, stay off the road right now. Carol and I normally would already be out and about and doing this thing. But right now, it's probably not a good idea. Probably, even with the 4-wheel drive, you want to wait till this thing kind of stops, and the plow trucks, the snow trucks, they've had time to get out there and do their thing, and then you can get out and put your 4-wheel drive in if you need to. It's probably a better idea. Billy says, Billy, who lives also in Harrisonburg, right outside Harrisonburg, literally, I think you do live in Harrisonburg, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure if that's zoned Harrisonburg or not where you live, but it says he says main roads are fine. Haven't had to put in 4-wheel drive yet. I went to AutoZone to put wipers on my car. Check this out. If you live in a snow area, what you want to do, and people in the South, we don't even think this way unless you're from the North. But when you go inside and it's been snowing, you want to lift your wipers up so that they're not all frozen and yucky on your windows. So you want to take your wipers and fold them up. So I went to do that. I was parked down here at the cul-de-sac. You can actually see my truck down there because my truck is always in our videos. You notice down there? She just calls herself the truck. That's her name. And when I did that, I noticed that the wipers were broken. The little rubber piece, just fell off. Well, the last time I replaced those wipers was during our last snowstorm. It was like perfect timing. Excuse me. So I went to AutoZone, and when I went to AutoZone, had to replace the wipers. It's always tricky with those wipers on the Silverados. So I replaced the wipers. But anyway, driving around town to AutoZone and back, needed the 4-wheel drive just to be a little safe because the roads that I was on Chicago Avenue around here, they weren't as clear. So I took those roads on the way back. And they were you needed a 4-wheel drive. Maybe not. I mean, you didn't have to have a 4-wheel drive, but it felt good to, lock it in, take off. That was great. Billy says, but of course I haven't made it to Rockingham County yet. I'm still in Augusta. I would imagine that Augusta is getting it worse, but if it's not worse than Augusta, that's insane because from what I was understanding, it was going to be worse east of here and south of here, but definitely east, like across the Blue Ridge Parkway. I've heard they're getting 12 inches to 16 in some places. But again, predicting the snow, and I said this on a live stream, and even I've said it on several videos, predicting snow is not easy. It's incredibly difficult to predict snow because of the conditions that have to be right. So we always give our weather people a hard time, but you're asking them to predict something that's fragile in the sense that if the temperatures go a different way, if the wind does this and this happens, it changes everything. And you really can't predict the weather with 100% ever. You're using probability models, and that's all you got. There's no other way to predict anything. As you can see, my neighbors are there in the back, and I'm sitting here going, wow, I've never done a live stream in front of all my neighbors. And we've got people walking by and neighbors walking around, but that's okay. I'm going to be out here with you anyway. Because why? Because it's snowing and you need to be out here to see the snow, especially my friends in the deep South who don't get a lot of snow. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn the screen. I don't know, that's not really picking up that well. How's that looking, Carolyn? You can't really see the mountain there at Massanutten. On top of Massanutten, there is a ski resort. And the ski resort is, you know, it's a ski resort, so there's supposed to be snow there all year round. And that's awesome, but you can't see it. Carol and I would love to drive up there later today, and we probably will. And if we're going to do that, though, we'd need to leave here in the next hour or so if that's the plan. We got neighbors that are jogging around the neighborhood, and that's always cool. That they're not scared; they're in shape. That's what I need to be doing right now. I need to be live streaming while I'm jogging. Of course, my phone. I'm going to blame my phone for that. DJI says perfect. I'm hoping you're referring to this boggin that I'm wearing. That it's perfect. Yes, it's perfect. They say it makes my eyes look nice. Well, it's a start. But I'm sure you're talking about the snow. Come to think of it, Tristan says a lot of snow. I wish we will get some. Tristan, where do you live? Tell us where you live. I've been keeping up with the system. I might be able to help with that, or somebody else will in the comments. But it is absolutely beautiful. One of the things that I've learned to do growing up, especially living in Kentucky, especially having family in, oh yeah, you said that, Tristan, I apologize. We was talking about Texas earlier. One of the things that I remember from my childhood, whether it be in Michigan or whether it be a young man in growing up in, you know, as a young man in Southeast Kentucky when we had big snows, is making sure that your coolant isn't just water, because you'll bust your little container wide open when it freezes. And plus, it's hard to de-ice your windows that way. There's little tricks that you can do all the time when it comes to this kind of weather. You know, there's little tricks you can do to make it easier. You know, you can take your gloves, because I don't know about you, but I lose stuff like this all the time. You stick your gloves, you keep them always in the pockets of your jackets at all times. It's always nice. You don't have to wear, if you're like me, you're hot natured, you know, where you break a sweat all the time. And so you don't want to wear a coat, and it's like cumbersome to take it on, take it off. So what I do is I take a hanger and I put it there behind the seat in the truck. That way it's always there in the wintertime, so that if something happens and you have to get outside, you've got your gloves inside your coat is hanging up, you've got everything together. Living in Chattanooga for 15, 20 years, I didn't have to worry about that. You know, you don't even think about those things, because even if it gets cold, you can handle it. It's almost fun. It's almost fun. But up here, it's different, because it's colder. It's a lot colder. You get stranded on the side of the road at night up here during one of these storms. Man, it's cold. It's a lot cold. And Billy says, well, I'll take that back now. I did have to engage the anti-lock brakes. Hey, there you go. Be careful. Be very careful, Billy. We don't need to lose you. We don't need to lose you. When I say don't need to lose you, what I mean is lose you to an anger fit for a little fender bender. Just a little fender bender will ruin your day. You know, there's nothing worse than a tiny fender bender to make you wish that you had done something different. You know, oh, I wish I would have not followed somebody so close, or not taking that curve. The hardest part about driving in this weather, and snow started to come down again, so I'm going to interrupt myself and try to get a better shot of this. Is it getting it? Carolyn is helping me by watching another computer screen. How's that, Carolyn? How's that, Carolyn?
It's good. It makes it better when you got it facing you, because the green pushes back.
All right, I'll turn it back around then. All right, so we're going to keep it there, because Carolyn said it's a better shot of the snow. And we'll keep trying to bring you these images right here, which I'm hoping this does better on the playback. I know we've had a few people in here, a few at a time. So I'm hoping it does better on the playback than it does now, just to share the snow with you. But still, all day long, we're going to be keeping you guys posted on different scenes of the weather, as long as we have signal and as long as we're able to. There's certain things that I'll be able to do out of my truck, because my phone will stay warm. Okay, you know, in other words, you're filming out, you know, you're recording out your window, and the heat's hitting the phone and things like that. I tell you what, the thing is it's complicated to use the camera and the live stream it's not complicated. Let me rephrase that. It's expensive. You see all these YouTube creators that live stream all the time, and there's a huge investment in that. That's why you hear them pushing product constantly, is because the investment is so high. And so we haven't really done a lot of live streaming. not as nearly as much as I want to. We've had, I've enjoyed doing it for Vlogmas because that's what this is. These are Vlogmas videos. And so I've really enjoyed doing this for Vlogmas. Hey, if you haven't already, be sure that you do hit the like button in here. Your comments really do help keep the algorithm satisfied. So when you comment, when you hit the like button, make sure you're subscribed and all that good stuff, because that's how the channel grows. We have a video that we made yesterday. We released it yesterday. And I'm drawing a blank on the name of it. All of a sudden, I'm like, but it's one of our videos that we released on the Christmas star that's coming up December 21st. You want to set a reminder right now, December 21st. We have no idea how we're going to do it, but what we're wanting to do is find signal somewhere and bring you guys images of the Christmas star. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it because what Carol and I were talking about, what it requires, and yeah, I don't see how we're going to be able to do it, but we're going to try. We're going to try to figure something out. We're still looking at. Thank you, DJI. Ghost of Christmas Past. Well, I talk about it, but there's actually it's not a live stream video. It's just a video. So you'd have to go to our other videos. I think it's Is This Really the Christmas Star is the name of the video. Is This Really the Christmas Star? Yeah, that's it. That's it, DJ. And so that on that video right there, if you haven't seen it, be sure to check that video out. It's a lot of fun too. I try to be funny and humorous in it. Of course, you know, that's pretty subjective. My kids think I'm not funny at all. They're like, Dad, your humor's terrible. So I don't know. I've almost stopped listening to my kids altogether when it comes to YouTube because, you know, anyway, but they give me a hard time. It's a lot of fun. The snow, I don't know how well it's picking it up now, but it's coming down. I mean, it is really coming down. But now, here's the thing. Grass, when you're looking at grass, the kind in your lawn, when you're looking at grass, we have that thick grass that you know, that real thick, like bushy grass. And it's not covered yet. It's not covered. You can still see a lot of green on all the yards. The driveways are covered, but the grass is still not covered right now. You know, like you got the windshield down there that's covered. So still, as nice and pretty as this is, we're not really there yet right now. It's just a little bit over a dusting. You got 1 to 2 inches on the ground, maybe 2 inches. I don't even think it's 2 inches because when this thing started, there was a lot of sleet mixed in with it, but that doesn't mean that the roads aren't icy. In fact, I guarantee you the roads are icy because the first hour or two of this, it was sleet, freezing rain, or whatever you call it, mixed with snow. So it was, you know, underneath that layer of snow out there on the road, which that's the cul-de-sac there, but I mean going that way, underneath that snow, that layer of snow, there's the sleet that piled up for a while, then, you know, or the freezing rain, and then you have the snow on top of it. Now you got some business on any road that's not been salted and plowed. You got business going on where you got to be very careful. For us, we live on the side of a hill. This is actually the side of a pretty large hill that leads to the Alleghenies. On the other side, there's another valley, and then the next ridge line would be Shenandoah Mountain, if I'm not mistaken. But now that's a pretty big valley there. But this is sort of like a rolling hill that leads over to the Allegheny front. So where we're at here, we're halfway up that hill. When I say hill, some people could even call it a mountain. I don't think the elevation quite qualifies as a mountain. I forget what that is. But the point is that living where we live here, the trucks don't come until later in the day or even tomorrow. Billy says, kids just don't get dad jokes. You know, they don't until they become a dad or a mom, you know, and then they get them and they laugh. And sometimes they just fly. The jokes just fly right past them because they are not wise enough to understand brilliant humor. That's what I keep telling myself to go to sleep at night. Anywho, the other thing that I notice is on this snow, unlike some of the other snows, is that it's not as windy out. You got a little bit of wind, but the last snowstorm that we had that was significant, had a lot of wind with it too. And the wind made a huge difference on how fast things froze, on how fast things were just freezing up. Carol and I went grocery shopping this morning. This just happened to fall on a grocery shopping day. So normally Carolyn would get up early to go grocery shopping, but this time we both went grocery shopping. We got up about 2 hours early because we knew that there's going to be a rush for, you know, what you have to have, you know, to survive a snow apocalypse, which is, you know, you have to have eggs, you have to have milk, and you have to have bread. Because if you're going to survive a snow apocalypse, You better have those things. I don't know why. I mean, even if you have 10 cartons of eggs, you better go buy 10 more cartons. DJ says, are you still a pastor at your church? Yes, I am. Most definitely. And Billy says, yes. And actually, I tell you what, and I'm glad you asked, because you can watch our services, or a part of our services, the preaching aspect of our services at it's on Facebook at Ray of Hope Harrisonburg. That's at Ray of Hope Harrisonburg. So make sure that you have gone to that page, follow that page, and you can watch our services on Sunday morning. We start live streaming the sermon at 11 o'clock, and we'd love to have you. So check it out when you guys get time. The church is doing amazing, even in 2020. God's blessed us extremely this year. It's been a fantastic year, despite the circumstances. I'm not saying that the circumstances hasn't affected us and people within our congregation. Yes, they have. And this thing going on is real, but it doesn't mean that you can't have joy and prosperity in the middle of the circumstances that we're in, because God is still on his throne. The situation right now in 2020 has not shocked our Father. And DJ says, how long have you been pastor at the church? Since February 2018. So, yeah, thank you. Thank you for asking. So check it out sometime. DJ, do you go to church somewhere? And by the way, where do you live, DJ? We'd love to hear from you. What's going on in your way? I'm noticing something while I'm waiting on DJ's answer. I'm noticing something in the background. I'm hearing frozen pellets of some kind or something. There's something hitting that doesn't just sound like regular old snow right now. It sounds. I'm kind of worried about. My dad has a convertible. Here, I'm going to show you guys. All right, do you see the convertible? Okay, little Mitsubishi. My son always gets mad. He's like, Dad, why did you let him buy that? Because he wanted it. But because my son's like a Dodge fan. He's American. And but I like his little car. And Dad loves his little car. But I'm worried about the snow on his car. I'm kind of worried about it right now. And it doesn't seem to bother him. So we'll see what happens. I might go down there with a broom or something a little bit later. DJ says he's from Memphis, Tennessee. Not really an attendee of any congregation. Used to be, but things changed. Well, I'll tell you something. Join us on Sunday mornings, and man, maybe God will move it such a way in your life that we'd hope that you'd find a home church there in Memphis. Memphis is a pretty amazing town. Now, we always have a joke, DJ, that, and you being from Tennessee, you've probably heard this before, is East Tennesseans don't believe that anything west of Nashville is really Tennessee. Have you ever heard that? Of course, they're being ridiculous, but I've said it too myself. I've been like, yeah, that's a different state. We've always said that. But the first time I'd ever had fried pickles was on Beale Street in Memphis, and I was at a conference out there. And yes, DJ, everybody in East Tennessee, you'll hear that all the time. If you're talking to somebody not from Tennessee, they'll always say that. They'll say something like, well, have you ever been to Memphis? Because you're from Chattanooga, and you're like, that's not Tennessee. That's Arkansas East. Or something like, they'll make a joke like that, west of Nashville. And some people in East Tennessee don't claim Nashville. And here's the funny part about that. That goes all the way back to when Tennessee was formed as a state. People were saying that for different political reasons and whatnot. I think now it's just because there's different cultures. I mean, East Tennessee's mountainous. You got these mountain valley ridge systems, both on the Cumberland side, which would be the Alleghenies in West Virginia, but the Cumberland side, then you have the Unicoi side or the Smoky Mountain side that form the Tennessee Valley in the middle. Very different than Memphis, where you've got the Mississippi River and it's real flat. It's farmland, huge farmland. So it's just a different, how people are. There's a rivalry that comes up there when you have two different cultures. So it's a lot of fun. Memphis is its own state for sure. Man, I don't think people in East Tennessee who usually travel, they go to the Smoky Mountains for vacation, they go to Florida and so forth. They don't often travel west, maybe once every 20 years or something. I don't think people realize how big Memphis is. Memphis is huge. Memphis is huge. It is. What's that town outside Memphis? It's really nice. I can't think of it right now, but it is a nice town. Was it Brentwood? Or no, that's in Nashville. I can't remember where it is, but there's a nice town just outside Memphis that looks wonderful. DJ says, we have the Bass Pro Pyramid. That's cool. And nobody ever visits Memphis other than Graceland. It's boring here. Oh, come on. It ain't that bad. Now, you have the Titans controversy, too, where the Titans were supposed to go to the Titans. Somebody's hammering something. The Titans were supposed to go to Memphis, and then there was like a last-minute change. I really don't know the drama behind that, but apparently there was a lot of drama, and so they ended up in Nashville. But the Bass Pro Shop, I've never been to that Bass Pro Shop. I hear it's cool. I've heard that, but I've never been there personally to be able to say anything out. Georgetown, that's it. Jim McDonald. By the way, Jim, welcome. Good to see you. You've been hiding in there. I see you hiding. There's several nice towns there. And are you monitoring that? Thank you, baby. My producer, Miss Carolyn Marion, is monitoring all my messages because I've got to make sure that I don't miss it. This is not the typical time that I stream, so I'm trying to keep make sure that I've got everything going on. And so Roger Farley says, can confirm, Tennessee my whole life, never been to Memphis on purpose. That's what I'm trying to say to DJ. It's not personal. It's just a lot of people in East Tennessee. And when I say East Tennessee, I just mean Nashville and East. You just don't, it's like, I'm going to go on vacation. I'm going to go to the Smoky Mountains. I'm going to go to Disney World in Florida. I'm going to go to Jekyll Island. You know, you got your places where your friends and relatives vacation, and hitting 40 and going west, unless they're going to the Grand Canyon, in which case they drive through Memphis usually, you know. But Memphis is the destination. You just don't hear that often. But that doesn't mean that Bill Street isn't incredibly charming. It is, and great music and stuff like that. Of course, I haven't been there in almost 20 years, but like I said, the first time I ever had deep fried pickles, and now you can find deep fried pickles everywhere. But that was the first time I ever had deep fried pickles. Jim McDonald said, don't want to go past Hurricane Mills. That's far enough. I don't know anything about that to know Hurricane Mills. If I lived in East Tennessee, I would never come here. DJ, you're killing me. DJ said, I think Bill Street is not going on right now. Well, I'm sure because of 2020 related stuff. I'm looking around here, though, behind me, and you can't see. You got this sleet thing going on right now because I can hear it, freezing rain and sleet. And I don't know how this will affect the accumulation because you're not having the big fluffies right now. And we are about to hit what should be more of a prime time for the biggest part of the storm, so to speak. Now, the warnings initially, I haven't checked them lately. The warnings initially went all the way to 4 a.m. But I don't know. I don't know if that's still a thing. I don't know. Jim McDonald said that's Loretta Lynn's ranch. Ah, beautiful. I've never been out there. In East Tennessee, PFGB, all that is popping, everything open. Yeah, it is. Yes, it is. And I probably don't even need to get into that. I probably don't need to get into that. There are things, there's just things you can't say anymore. It works like this. There are certain things that is going to happen in Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg. They're going to open. Magic Kingdom is open. You have to wear a mask, but Magic Kingdom is open. Disneyland is open. You know, you get tourist areas with lots of people, lots of shareholders, things like that at stake. And Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, very similar. Lots of business people, lots of influence. And so, yeah. It's kind of like the airlines. You know, the airlines are very much open. You know, we flew to Colorado. Carolyn and I flew to Colorado, and my son, my daughter, my youngest daughter, and my son's girlfriend, Madison. We flew to Colorado, and they packed us in like sardines. I mean, we had masks on, but I mean, you know how it is in an airplane. You're shoulder to shoulder with people. I mean, it really doesn't matter if they're packing you in like sardines. Your mask is helpful, but when it comes to airlines going bankrupt, I don't think anybody's going to risk that. Jim McDonald says can go anywhere anymore. Can't go. Can go anywhere anymore without big crowds? Yeah. Oh, there's going to be big crowds everywhere now. They time it now to where you can't. They make it to where you can't even try to beat the crowd, like be strategic. Carol and I learned that in 2016 at Disney World, and I don't have much time left on this particular stream. I'll come back on later, but I don't have much time on the stream to get into that. But they've made it to where, because we travel all the time because of the channel, and a lot of places with tourism, they make it to where there's no way to beat the crowd. In other words, they've learned that it's more cost effective to shut down and only open when they can pack you in like sardines. And it makes it very difficult, because if you watch a lot of our videos, You know, especially if you go back in the catalog and watch, which I encourage you to do, because some of those videos that don't have a lot of views are some of our best videos. Seriously, some of my favorite videos anyway. But you'll hear me mention this often. I hate crowds. I'm odd that way. Carolyn doesn't mind them as much as I do, but the older she gets, the more she hates crowds. So there are times now at 47, I'm almost 47 years old, where I'm not going to spend 2 hours waiting to get to the latest roller coaster or the latest thing. I'm just not going to do it. Jim McDonald says, looking forward to this spring when I can do my last section of the Blue Ridge Parkway, Boone to Asheville. Oh, man, Jim. Boone to Asheville is one of the best stretches there. It's one of the best stretches. Now, I got to tell you, if you start off in the Great Smoky Mountain National Park where the Blue Ridge Parkway begins, and I think it's 321 from Tennessee out of Gatlinburg. I think it's 321. If not, somebody can correct me on the replay, or maybe I'll correct it later. But it's Mike Mills, by the way, good to see you. Corbin's representing. Whoop, whoop. But anyway, it's 321 out of Gatlinburg, if I'm not mistaken, and pick up the Blue Ridge Parkway there. If you go there and head up that way, you can take the whole Blue Ridge Parkway all the way to the end of North Carolina. It wouldn't take you, I want to say 7-8 hours if you're stopping, and that's if you're stopping all the time. It surprised me. You just have to pick the right time of year to go to where it's open, and you can get up at daybreak, and you know you have things work out right for you. You really can. Disneyland is open, Roger. Is Disney okay, Roger? I may be wrong. I apologize. I thought Disneyland was open as well, so I apologize. It is closed. I thought they were both open, so never mind on that. So if they're closed, they're closed. DJ says Disneyland. I have no idea. I thought it was open if you have a mask on, which is weird considering. And there's so many things like this right now, and goodness knows everybody has an opinion. And I'm trying to be more positive with my opinions so that I'm not negative with and spreading negativity all the time. We got enough YouTube channels that do that. It's just negative, negative, negative. And it's like, even if you don't agree with anything, you have to maintain a positive outlook or you're miserable just 24 hours a day. And I have fallen into that in 2020, and I don't want to stay in that. So I'm trying to be more positive. But that is one of the weird things, is that where the restrictions that came down in California, because I kept thinking, I thought Disneyland was open, and I thought, so it's okay for Disneyland. You know, I'm sure you understand my thought process there. It's like some places it was okay for them to be open, even if they were. You guys know where I'm going with that. I'm trying to be positive here. I'm trying to be positive waves. You guys remember Donald Sutherland in the movie Kelly's Heroes? I'm showing my age right now because that movie is even older than I am, but it's a wonderful movie. It's called Kelly's Heroes. It's Clint Eastwood, Donald Sutherland, and he's a tank driver. And Donald Sutherland's like, negative waves, man, negative waves. You're sending me those negative waves. So I'm trying to escape the negative waves. Dennis Jackson said Disney World is open. Disneyland is still closed. Bingo. So, yeah. So there you go. Disneyland is still closed, which that makes more sense to me. That would make more sense because I've been wondering about that. Now, a little update here on the weather. The snow, sleet, action, whatever, it has stopped. We look like we're at a break, maybe clearing between the snow bands, which is a great time to remind everybody, if you haven't already, please click that like button while you're in here. It really helps the channel out. And I am so grateful that you've watched this past segment. Now, here's some full disclosure. I can't feel my legs right now. That's the truth. I'm not lying to you. Up here, I'm fine, but I'm in my boxers out here. No, I'm kidding. I'm in my jeans, but I don't have anything under them. I don't have any like long handles on or anything like that. I got gloves, so I'm good here. Face is good. Everything's good. But in my feet, they're fine. But it's my it's my legs. And so that is the problem. Now, DJ asked if there's a giveaway at 10,000 subs, and you have just given me an idea. You have just given me an idea, DJ. And so I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to close this segment out. And then I'm going to talk to Carolyn, because I don't even know how to do a giveaway. I mean, you can just mail stuff to somebody. You know, y'all are going to have to tell me how to do this. And like, I don't know what to give away. You know, I don't know. I need to consult the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Anybody get that reference there? Do you have any moderators? Carolyn is a moderator. Carolyn is my senior producer, wife, captain, counselor, you know, all that stuff. It just says you can go to the website and randomize comments and pick a random comment. But how do you avoid like somebody accusing you of favoritism or fixing the, because I always wondered that with other creators when they say there's a giveaway at such and such likes. And it's like, how do you know? Roger got the joke. Roger Farley's like, I get the joke. It's good to see you, Roger. I haven't seen you on our chats in a while. It's good to see you. But yeah, I don't know how to do it. It's like I can say we had a contest the first year I had a YouTube channel that was like active and somewhat consistent. We did this contest with Christmas lights, and it was you were to participate whether the Christmas tree was retro or it was tacky or retro. We were going for retro. So we asked everybody, and like we had 8 people participate, and I only think we had 30 subscribers at the time. And the person that won, because we drew it out of a hat, goes to my church. So, went to our church then back in Chattanooga. But, you know, it was like, let's say I had 10,000 subscribers. You could always say, that's fixed, it's rigged. So I don't know. YouTube has a lot of regulations and rules. Yeah, but I don't even know. Well, yeah, I guess I could find out. Jeff, you can do it off YouTube. Nothing wrong with that. Jim McDonald says, I get to see things through you that I wouldn't normally see. So thank you for that, Jim. It's my pleasure. And that's why we started this channel. You know, actually, let me just tell that real quick before we sign off for this segment is I started this channel because I was in a job that I absolutely hated, and I was waiting on God to open up the door in ministry. I kept waiting for it because I was a late bloomer anyway in ministry. I always tell people I didn't begin to mature in Christ until I was about 29 or 30 years old. And so I knew I was a called pastor when I was a young man. But I, you know, like so many people, you make bad decisions and make bad decisions, and there are consequences for those bad decisions. As a young man, just making silly mistakes as a very young man. Long story short, I'm doing what I had to do to make money. I had a corporate job in Chattanooga. Some of you could probably guess where I worked in Chattanooga, but it was a corporate job. It was a nice job, but I was miserable because it wasn't what I wanted to do, but it paid good money, and they had insurance. And here's what happened. One of the things Carol and I started doing is I wanted to start doing things that I loved all the time as if I was off. Go out. My kids were growing up. They were getting out of the house, and they were gone all the time doing the high school thing. And so every weekend I started going to the mountains, and I would film it, but I didn't know what to do with all the footage that I have. You know, what do you do with that? And I was watching YouTube all the time, and I thought, is it a midlife crisis if I start a channel? And I didn't even know how to edit videos. And that's how this whole thing started. And wouldn't you know it, starting a YouTube channel was pivotal in ministry. It had, in other words, it's almost like God had been waiting for me to step out with something like this, because it is faith. Anytime you step out and you put something out there for other people to examine, there's faith in that, because you're facing rejection. You're facing all those fears of certain things. Even the name of this channel, which the name of the channel is Bill Marion, because I didn't know marketing back then. But the name of what I always call our videos is I'm Bill Marion, and this is a nose for life. You guys hear that on every channel. And it was because I was so insecure about my nose. And I figured if I made fun of my nose by calling the channel A Nose for Life, it would, you know, take away all the comments about how huge my nose was. And that's just loaded with insecurity, but that's how the channel started. And wouldn't you just know it, 2 years later, I was pastoring in Harrisonburg. And look, I mean, it's just amazing. I mean, and we still maintain the channel, and God's blessed us, and the channel's monetized. I mean, hey, we've got almost 10,000 subscribers. So praise God. DJ says, I've been a subscriber a long time. I'm pretty sure before you even hit 1,000, if you could, DJ, I remember you. It's just, I'm sitting there trying to think, have you changed your YouTube name? So, because I remember Memphis. I remember that. It's just, I'm going, did you change it? You said, you know, you were really early. I did not know that. And I'm so glad you're commenting, because people that have been watching for that long mean so much to us, because you have seen how far we've come, you know, since our cringeworthy videos early on to our videos now, and how far we've come. It says, DJ says, do you have a YouTube channel for the church? No, and there's reasons why that I won't get into right now, just because my legs are like freezing. He says, your nose is fine. Yeah, it is. But that's the whole thing. When you're stepping out, you're worried about every little thing, and really just step out in faith. It's funny because I've been preaching faith since I walked into my calling at 30 years old. Faith this, faith that. But there were certain things I was chicken to do. I was scared to death. You know, how can you pursue pastoring if you're going to have a YouTube channel or do anything like this? Those are silly. Those things are silly. If anything, YouTube and other media outlets that I participate in, they help with those things. Just right, this conversation right now, it's a part of my ministry. It's a part of my faith. DJ Phantom. Oh my goodness. Yes, I remember. Oh yes. Okay. Now it makes perfect sense. Of course, you've been with us since 2016, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, you've been with us since the very beginning. All right, guys. I appreciate it. It's been 40 minutes. So I'm going to go in here and try to freshen up and do some strategy with Carolyn to figure out what we're going to do next. And I'm going to look at the radar, see what we got going on. And I'm going to sign off and hope you guys will meet back up with us when we sign back on. Peace.